Today is a new day, a day full of sound and light and expectation. This day has been waiting for you, especially for you. It is the day we have been given. Come, let us worship together. Our opening hymn is number 181, Come, Come, Whoever You Are.
Whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come.
Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Youngstown. We are a people of covenant, practicing how to live together with honesty and care. However you arrive this morning, with strength or weariness, you are welcome here. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whoever you love, you are welcome here. My name is Gary Davenport. I'm a lay minister at First Unitarian Universalist Church of Youngstown. We call it UUYO for short. And I have some announcements. today, 2 events, Newcomer Circle in Schweitzer Lounge and on Zoom 1. That's at 12:15. And Karen, in the back, is hosting that meeting. And the LGBTQ plus meeting today in the boardroom back here and Zoom 2 at 12:30. Is Liam here? Not yet, he will be. Next week, as you will hear later in the service, there's a Healthy Congregation Ministry workshop on healthy communication. That will be in Schweitzer Lounge at 12:30 for about an hour. In the youth room at the same time, we will have the UUYO Social Justice Committee meeting, March 1st, 12:30 in the youth room. You are very welcome here. And I would like to bring up Chris Colon for our chalice lighting today.
Good morning, friends. We gather this morning in a world that asks so much of us. It asks for our time, our energy, our outrage, our compassion. It asks us again and again to show up for justice, for family, for community. As a people of faith, especially in a tradition that calls us to both love and action, we often say yes. But today, as we light this chalice, I invite us to consider a quieter, more brave spiritual act, the act of boundary setting. We often think resilience is about endurance, about pushing through, about surviving the storm with gritted teeth and tired bones. But true resilience, the kind that allows us not just to survive, but to bounce back, requires something more tender and more honest. It requires knowing our limits. Healthy boundaries are not walls of isolation. They're sacred thresholds. They mark where my responsibility ends and yours begins. They protect what is holy within us: our energy, our dignity, our well-being. They remind us that we are not infinite wells, but human beings made of breath and bone and spirit. In a culture that glorifies busyness and self-sacrifice, saying no can feel rebellious. Rest can be indulgent. Stepping back can feel like failure. But what if boundaries are not barriers to love, but conditions for it? When we honor our limits, we prevent resentment from taking root. When we care for ourselves, we model wholeness for our children and our neighbors. When we refuse to overextend, we preserve the strength needed to keep showing up for what matters most. Boundaries allow us to stay present in community, not as martyrs, not as burnt-out heroes, but as grounded, compassionate participants. They make space for mutuality. They invite shared responsibility. They teach us that justice work, family life, and spiritual growth are marathons, not sprints. Resilience is not about never breaking. It is about bending without losing ourselves. It is about bouncing back with wisdom, not just willpower. So today, as we light this chalice, may its flame remind us that even fire requires containment to give warmth instead of destruction. May we practice boundaries not as rejection, but as reverence, not as fear, but as faith. May we bounce back not by hardening our hearts, but by honoring our humanity. And may we remember, tending the spirit within is not separate from tending to the world. It's where all true service begins. Thank you.
We invite you to greet your neighbors.
Hello. I regret to inform you that today's story is a two-parter. And so, to hear the second part, you have to come back in 2 weeks because we're not doing it next week. Okay, so today's story is called The Mayor Who Only Answered with Yeses by Kathleen Hogue. There once was a mayor named Wayne Estes. All of the people in the town thought he was the bestest. You see, no matter what the question or request, the mayor always answered with yes. But this did not last long, as I'm sure you're guessing. Very soon, the mayor and the town would learn their lesson. It began when Gina's prize pig got into a mess, and the mayor said, "Of course I will help. Yes, yes." Then, while working all day at washing the pig, the mayor fell in and he lost his wig. But the happiness of the town was important to Mayor Wayne, so yes, of course, he did not complain. Next came a band with a tuba so loud it shook up the windows and startled the crowd. "Can you make them play softly?" some neighbors said. "Please." "Can you make them play louder?" yelled the young folks off near the trees. Mayor Estes just smiled and told them both yes, although he was tired and needed a rest. But the happiness of the town was important to Mayor Wayne, so yes, of course, he did not complain. Then 2 neighbors argued, their faces turned red. "Put stop signs on Maple," one neighbor said. "No stop signs," cried the other. "Traffic will jam." They both talked at once. Bam, bam, bam. Mayor Estes said yes to the stop sign request. Then he said yes to no stop signs. His nerves felt stressed. But the happiness of the town was important to Mayor Wayne, so yes, of course, he did not complain. The mayor felt dizzy. How could this continue? Then up next was the problem with the bake sale venue. Jennifer Defoe wanted to sell baked goods to raise money for parks in their neighborhoods. While telling Mayor Estes all about her plan, in walked 3-time blue ribbon winner Beatrice Ann. "Can I use the town square?" asked Jennifer. "Please." "Can I use the town square?" said Beatrice with ease. "Same day, same time?" Oh dear, what a twist. And the mayor said yes, because no didn't exist. They bombarded him with questions and told him what they would bake, and it was right about then that the mayor's head began to ache. But the happiness of the town was important to Mayor Wayne, so yes, of course, he did not complain. This went on for some time with visits and calls night and day, and yes is all the mayor would say. And then, one day, there were angry people wherever he looked. It just so happened Mayor Estes had overbooked. Cookies met cupcakes, brownies met pies, 2 tables, 1 spot, and some very crossed eyes. Sprinkles were flying, frosting smeared fast. Some folks bought twice, and some folks just passed. Cars rolled too fast, then cars stopped too hard. A mail truck went honk, honk, and rattled the yard. Bicycles wobbled, a stroller went eep. Even the pigeons stopped mid-street to peep. The band marched through this glorious mess. It was a sight to see and hear, I must confess. The mayor ran home for some quiet to think. He went to the kitchen to pour himself a drink. No time for my kids, no time for my wife. I cannot keep living this yes, yes kind of life. No time for my dog, no time for my cat. That is it, and that is that. To be continued. All right, now I'd like to invite the kids up to the front here. We're going to do our covenant and sing our children out.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
This month's authoring goes to the Urban Labyrinth Project, which is located on the 2600 block of Market Street between West Indianola and West Princeton Avenues. The Urban Labyrinth Project is designed to provide a calm, contemplative setting that promotes mental and physical wellness, distinctly differing the traditional concept of a maze. The labyrinth's design draws inspiration from the medieval Chartres Cathedral Labyrinth in France. Under the direction of Dr. Kelly Kirksey, the founder of Creative Wellness Solutions, the project introduces a unique and inclusive park featured to the city. This initiative was receiving support from the 6th Ward Councilwoman Anita Davis and the City of Youngstown. Mending Wall by Robert Frost. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that sends the frozen ground swell under it, and spills the upper boulders in the sun, and makes gaps even two can pass abreast. The work of hunters is another thing. I've come after them and made repair of what they left, not one stone on a stone, but they would have had a rabbit out of hiding to please the yelping dogs. The gaps, I mean. No one has seen them or made them or heard them made, but at spring mending time we find them there. I let my neighbor know beyond the hill, and on a day we meet to walk the line and set the wall between us once again. We keep the wall between us as we go. To each the boulders that have fallen to each, and some are loaves and some are nearly balls. We have to use a spell to keep them balanced. Stay where you are until our backs are turned. We wear our fingers rough with handling them. It's just a kind of outdoor game, one on a side. It comes to little more. There where it is, we do not need a wall. He is all pine and I apple orchard. My apple trees will never get across and eat the cones under his pines, I tell him. He only says, good fences make good neighbors. Spring is the mischief in me, and I wonder if I could put a notion in his head. Why do they make good neighbors? Isn't it where there are cows? But there are no cows. Before I built a wall, I'd ask to know what I was walling in or walling out, and to whom I was like to give offense. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that wants it down. I would say elves to him, but it's not elves exactly, and I'd rather he said it for himself. I see him there bringing a stone grasped firmly by the top in each hand, like an old stone savage armed. He moves in darkness, as it seems to me, not of woods only and shades of trees. He will not go behind his father's saying, and he likes having thought of it so well, he says again, good fences make good neighbors.
You're welcome to lower your gaze, soften your focus, close your eyes, and join in meditation for a minute. During his chalice lighting, Chris reminded us that boundaries are sacred thresholds. Even fire needs something around it: a hearth, a lantern, a circle of stones, a chalice, if it is going to give warmth or light and not destruction. I've been thinking about that image, at least in part because of the sermon, but also because you tend to look at that to make sure it doesn't go out during the service. And sometimes it does, and not today. Often when we think about resilience, it is easy to think about strength and pushing through and standing firm no matter what. And I don't think necessarily that resilience is about strength. I think that it can be, and those can be parts of it, but I think resilience can be centered around knowing where we stand. A while back, I caught myself taking on something that wasn't mine to do. It was small. No one asked me to do it. It's what happens to me in my winter boredom. I just saw something that could be done, and I quietly started to do it. And I thought, this church is held together by 10,000 small things we do for it and for one another. Why not add to that? Then 1 a.m. rolled around, and by that point I found myself down a rabbit hole with 3 other tabs open in my browser, more work I had started to do that I had not gotten anywhere near finishing. And then I asked myself, what if I went back to that first thing and what if I closed out the other, nope. It's time to go to bed. When I slowed down enough to notice what I was doing, I realized that the fatigue, in addition to being up so late down internet rabbit holes, was overall coming from what was not mine to do. It was coming from what I had added, sought out on purpose. That is why winter is a dangerous time for me. It's a boundary issue. It is also a resilience issue. Frost in The Mending Wall writes about 2 neighbors walking the line between the properties, repairing a stone wall. And one of them keeps saying, good fences make good neighbors. And the other keeps wondering whether the wall is even necessary. And Frost does not settle the argument. He lets them keep walking. I appreciate that because the word boundary can make us uneasy. It can sound like separation. It can sound like rejection. But not all fences or boundaries are the same. Some keep harm out. Some protect what is tender. Some simply mark where one space ends and another begins. In congregational life, that marking matters. Without clarity, we could become confused about what belongs to us and what does not. And confusion, over time, drains resilience. All of us have different histories. Some of us have strong, confident voices. Some of us are still learning what safety feels like in community. Some of us have carried trauma or are currently carrying it. Some of us have learned to step back to survive. Some decide that stepping forward is a way to be heard or engage. And boundaries are not about forcing everyone to do the same act. They're about honoring those differences with care. Sometimes resilience looks like holding ourselves back when we know we can take up more space than is helpful. Pausing, listening, letting others speak. Sometimes resilience looks like honoring our own limits, recognizing that we need time, or quiet, or distance, or sleep, and allowing ourselves that without shame. Neither type of movement is superior. Both require awareness, sometimes awareness that is arrived at after much pursuit. Our Unitarian Universalist Association now names 6 shared values with love at the center: justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, generosity, and interdependence. And I'm seeing at least 3 people today that have showed me this really cool trick, this exercise you can do with your hands to try to remember all those. And I don't remember it at the moment. I'm not going to do it. But our association it was a major change that was arrived at after a long democratic process. And so we, at this congregation, still use the 7 principles plus an 8th principle. But the UUA has now shifted to 6 values. Worth checking out. So love is at the center, and being at the center does not erase boundaries, but it makes them possible. Interdependence is not the same as merging into one indistinct whole. Generosity is not about self-erasure. Justice does not require us to override our own capacity. When we practice healthy boundaries, we are not withdrawing from love. We are helping love remain steady. So we might ask ourselves gently, what is mine to do? What is not mine to do? What is mine to fix? What is not mine to fix? What is mine to carry? And what belongs to someone else's journey? Where does my responsibility end and another's begin? What am I called to? What must I let go of? These questions don't limit compassion, they guide it. When we carry what is not ours, we wear down. When we ignore what is ours, others feel the gap. Clarity on these things help us stand in the right place. Not too far forward, not too far back. Resilient communities, then, are not communities without tension. They are communities that keep practicing boundaries and clarity together. It does not happen by accident, and it does not happen solely by intention. The intention is part of it, but the commitment to impact and the practice to get there are necessary. If you've been at any of my sermons before, you notice I tend to list things, and there's often invitations. So we come to that part. All of this about being resilient, and if you want to be resilient, boundaries are a way to arrive at that, is to say that we have some opportunities in the near future to explore these themes. Next Sunday, as I said earlier during announcements, we will host a healthy communications workshop. It begins with a simple but powerful question. Have you ever felt truly heard? Have you felt unheard? It offers tools for communicating clearly, managing disagreement, listening well, gaining clarity. And it can be applied not only here at church, but at work with friends. It's a holistic kind of workshop, and should be fun because you get to do role play and breakout sessions. Clear communications is boundary practice, but in real time. It helps us say what we mean, helps us hear what is actually being said, and reduces misunderstanding before it may grow. In May, we will offer a training in the community resiliency model. Resilience is certainly emotional and spiritual, but also physical, and our bodies respond to stress quickly. Me personally, I have type 1 diabetes, and if I remain stressed for a long period of time, my sugar goes up and it does not come down, and I keep having to give myself doses of insulin. And this is whether I have a virus or some kind of personal or social stress. So it's real. I've quantified it. Sometimes long before our minds catch up, this is happening. So learning to notice and steady ourselves, learning how to bring our nervous systems back toward balance, is not weakness, it is wisdom. When our bodies are steadier, our boundaries can be steadier too. So I would look for the date for that in the very near future. That will be in May. And for spring and again in the fall, there is a Boundaries for Lay Leaders class through the UU Institute. And I'll pause to say that the UU Institute is a UUA sponsored website with learning opportunities, modules. If you've ever done Coursera or other online learning platforms like Blackboard, it can be similar to that. These are not semester-long classes. Most of them are done as groups, either online or in person. There's a lot of resources on there available. Check the website out, it's uuinstitute.org. In this particular class is Boundaries for Lay Leaders 165. I don't know what the 165 is. There's 164 other classes about boundaries for lay leaders. This one in particular looks pretty good. Leadership requires a lot of consideration, and clear boundaries protect leaders in the community. They help service remain sustainable over time. We will engage together in this class as a group, face-to-face and Zoom, to take in the content together and share in the answering of the questions that are part of the class. There is a fee, and there will be coverage for it. So if you are interested, please inquire about joining this spring or fall. All of these are invitations. Of course, you don't have to attend any of them. And maybe some sound more interesting to you than others. So they're offerings to the congregation by friends of the congregation at Goodwill and our Healthy Congregation ministry team. We're just finding opportunities to bring these things to the congregation because we think that they have practical and spiritual benefits for all of us. I also wanted to say a note about the title of the service today, Bouncing Back. I did some learning when I tried to use the verb that would mean to be resilient, and I don't think English has one, because I've never heard anyone say that they were going to resile. It's not a word. I looked it up. It is Latin. Resilio means I bounce back, and it comes from a verb salio, which means to bounce. I didn't know that. So if you were sitting there looking, I saw some people sitting there looking at the order of service feeling like cheated. Like, why is it say, what are we going to do bouncing back? Is there an exercise ball? There is not. Resilience is really the act or state of bouncing back. And so all of this is framed around if we do want to be able to bounce back. Boundaries are a way to do that. So I think back to Frost's poem and his image of the two neighbors walking the wall. They walk it together. They repair it together. One of them knowing for certain that it's necessary, the other wondering why it is necessary. They repair it together, and the act of mending becomes a shared discipline. And I think the lack of resolution in the poem, in the image of the act of mending becoming a shared discipline, is the image we may take away today. Resilience is not about becoming harder, it is about becoming clearer. It is about knowing when to pause, when to listen, when to speak, when to rest. It is about honoring our own capacity and the capacity of others. If we want to bounce back, after strain, stress, the ordinary wear and tear of life, the extraordinary wear and tear of life, then perhaps the quiet work of boundary setting is one of the most faithful or spiritual things we can do. Love at the center, clarity at the edges, and may we keep practicing both. Join me in prayer. Spirit of love, as we walk the lines that shape our shared life, help us tend them with care. Where walls divide, soften us. Where lines must be clear, steady us. May our fences be built of wisdom, our thresholds shaped by compassion. Let clarity deepen trust and resilience grow from rooted love. Amen. Closing hymn is number 123, Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts with the message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in until we are together again.
As you depart, remember the one great truth. You are loved and never truly alone.